don't think I ever asked. How did you get into voice acting?
Yeah,
What made you want to get into voice acting specifically?
I can't remember which anime specifically made me feel this way, but anime in general does this thing to your brain where it makes you want to voice act. To some people, it just turns these cogs that just make, because if you speak to a voice actor, all of them, at least nowadays, the new generation of voice actors, not the old ones, most of them, I'd say like 90%, wanted to do it because they got into it via games or anime. Normally Japanese media of some sort. I don't know, it's just a fantastical story that kind of makes you want to.
Well, it's also because, especially in the Japanese voice acting world, that some of these actors' skills are just like on another level.
But I think that a lot of voice actors, the ones starting out, getting into it, they don't even consider that.
Right.
But I think that you come to appreciate that a lot when you get into it more, because you can just the mastery on craft on display. Sorry. But there's just something about anime that's so fantastical that like kind of like draws this kind of want to be these characters and kind of go through what they're going through. And, I, at the time, I think when I first started doing it, I don't think it was out of sincere want to act. And I don't know what that, because, you know, when I talk to like Pete or someone, there's like a different, I think there's a different switch in my brain that when he talks about acting, it's different. How about when I talk about acting,
well,
I
he
feel
did
like
theater, right?
Yeah, that's just
it's very different.
I think it's a totally different, even though I would argue that if you can act, you can voice act. I think I fully believe that. I think it's they share the same skills. I think if you only voice act, you can't quite fully act because there's a lot of, you still need to have a bit of lessons on hitting your marks, doing all the body movements, maybe even
facial expressions.
That kind of stuff is quite difficult. But I don't know, it drew me into it, and I don't know what it is, because there has to be that leap when you want to do something. So you've all had this thing where late at night you're watching something, you're like, right, tomorrow I'm doing this thing, and then you don't do it. Right? It could be like, I'm starting this hobby, or I'm going to start practicing this, and we don't do it. We're all guilty of doing this. But for some reason, whatever it was about anime really compelled me to then immediately figure out how to hook my Xbox microphone up to my PC, download the software, and start recording shit and sending it off to random people who are also as clueless as me.
Right.
And yeah, it kind of just took off. I mean, it was, I don't know, I just did it, you know, like this PewDiePie art video that everyone keeps talking about and how insane it is. I'm like, if you truly do something every single day for hundreds of days, you will get pretty fucking good at that thing.
Yeah.
The hard part is doing it every day.
Yeah, being consistent.
But when I started voice acting, I literally did it every single day for hours on end, because I was so addicted to it. Yeah. And I also loved the community aspect of it. Back then it was a huge community thing, and there wasn't many of us. There was like, you know, like less than 100.
It's funny how many people in that community are now professional voice actors or voice actresses.
Like I remember there's a few people, because everyone kind of came at the community in a different way. But when I started out, I remember very distinctly Kovac, who started around the same time as I did, who now is in so many things. He's in Digital Media Circus. He's done some other amazing stuff, and a really nice guy. Yeah. And it's cool seeing you go on your own journey and seeing other people just go through it. And even back then, he was very, very talented. I remember
also Kaneki in Tokyo Ghoul in 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, perfect.
Like I distinctly remember when I started, I was doing it. We all kind of just did these dumb auditions where when we knew a project was just never going to be finished, or it was by a guy who was he's like, I'm going to pay you. And he's like, you're not going to pay us. We would submit these joke auditions because they were public, so people would listen to them. And I remember that his joke auditions were so good. That we were like, what the fuck? Like this guy's joking is better than like our serious performance. Right. And so it was kind of like a fun little learning experience. And then I somehow had bullshitted my way into doing it seriously from all of that experience, because we'd kind of all held ourselves accountable, because a lot of the people who were voice acting back then, you know, every now and then someone would be in the right location to be able to go to one of these voice acting workshops, and maybe they would get successful, but they would still keep in touch with people, so they would kind of trickle down information, and people were very open about sharing information about how to improve. So I think the overall quality of voice actors online improved quite a lot. People who came from only online. So it was kind of an interesting community, and it kind of got my start. And I always say how I got into YouTube was because I got very bored of waiting for auditions. Sorry, I'm ranting, by the way. I'm going.
No, you're fine. Yeah,
interesting.
I got very bored of doing voice acting auditions, because you would sit there for like 5 hours a day, and you would do these audition, and in your head, it's kind of like this. Auditioning is almost the funnest part. because it's the least amount of work for the most reward, which is you got the role.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, fuck yeah. And then you actually start recording for some of this stuff and you're like, this fucking sucks. This fucking sucks. Because you have to bear in mind, most voice actors, 90% of the stuff that they've ever voice acted in, because they've probably done a bunch of stuff before they've done all the cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's probably just garbage. Stuff that like is maybe like hot messes, because someone else is also learning too. You're learning, they're learning, we're all learning.
You've also got to get a CV up somehow, right?
Right, like everyone has to learn and everyone has to find a way. And it's all about, as a voice actor, you have to become a professional con artist as well, where you almost have to leverage the best thing you've been in to get the next best thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're constantly having to be like, I voiced in this pretty cool thing, it's a pretty big deal. And you say it, and maybe you know deep down it's not that big of a deal, but you have to kind of like sell yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like it's kind of a tough business, because not only do you have to be a great actor, you have to be a great salesman. Yeah, which is tough.
I would say that's true for a lot of life.
I think that's the majority of the entertainment
a lot of freelance,
industry.
a lot of entertainment industry, which people don't appreciate that. A lot of people want to be like, my talent speaks for itself. And it's like,
well, sometimes it doesn't.
I don't know, because I feel like
it's generational. It's very tough to find that.
Right.
Every now and then, there's like one person who has the luxury of doing that.
Yeah.
But it's always by like complete fluke. Maybe you work with Garn. Garn has influence. He recommends you, and then there's a series of chain events. But that's a very rare situation.
I feel like selling is a skill that is just, because I fucking hate salesmanship and like selling as a skill. I always thought I hated it. And the more I grow older, the more I've realized it is so intrinsic to success in life.
Oh, yeah.
Because you talk about that, but indirectly, you go to a job interview. What's one of the most important skills in any job interview? It's selling yourself. You want a promotion. You want a raise.
Yeah.
What is the most important skill? It's selling your value, to the job or to your boss or to the company it's in. And these are the moments that are going to define how successful a lot of people are. And even if you hate selling, I do. I kind of realize how many points in my life that I needed to be able to sell myself in order to get X thing done or something else done.
I mean, I think the prime example I can give to like at how important selling is when you don't think it is. Charities. Yeah. Like think about every charity you probably know about. The charities that you think when you hear the word charity is probably one that's been so successful in selling its image or story. You think of like Make-A-Wish, super powerful and very easy to sell stories because it practically, hey, we get to make these amazing moments happen that on camera are very emotionally powerful. And they're not just bringing a camera because they want to document it and save it. They're bringing a camera because they want to sell it. They want to get more sponsors. They want to get more donations. And that's if a charity has to consider something that is purely philanthropic and about giving and helping, if something like that has to sell, then why do you think you're above selling in whatever you're doing? Right? You have to sell. It's what it is. In whatever it is you do.
Yeah, and I think going at the angle of like, well, I have the talent is like really dangerous to do because, well, you might think you have the talent, but not everyone might agree that you have the talent. And if everyone doesn't agree, then it's going to be really difficult to try and use that as a selling point.
I think there's a bit of a pivot because I don't think it necessarily is like, oh, I am talented. It's more of like a lot of people think
above it.
A lot of people think my talent should speak for itself,
which is not true.
Which
is like a very. it can happen, but it's very rare.
It can happen.
The normal trajectory is for any kind of entertainment or even like
any job
business is that like
business.
you have to in the early stages really sell yourself to whatever it is.
Totally.
And then once you get to a more comfortable position, you found your audience or you found your clients, whatever it is, then you can kind of pull off the gas. You can let your work speak for itself. People are recommending you because that's a and that's where I think fortunately with our YouTube stuff, that's where we've gotten to now where we're very fortunate. We don't have to do a lot of outreach, don't have to grind a lot. I think we just upload stuff and
we don't have to like go out of our way to like try and prove a point, right? Like we just kind of do our own thing, and then we're in a position now where like people are more coming to us than we are necessarily going out to them. Like not to say that we're never going out and like trying to outreach for any kind of opportunity.
I'm always trying to do that.
Yeah, of course. We're always doing that. But like when we all started off, I'm sure like that was the only thing that was the only way we could get our hands out there, right? Because like when you're starting off, no one fucking knows how talented you are. No one knows how much like cool stuff you can possibly make or do, like because you don't really have that kind of experience yet. So you have to make it a point, as you said, to like, sell yourself. Which again, I fucking hated doing.
Yeah.
Did you guys both went to university? Did you guys have to? Oh, what's it called? When you were applying to the university, did you have to? Okay, so you had like your, I guess, CV.
Did you interview?
But you also had to send a
cover letter.
Cover letter.
I fucking hate cover letters. They're stupid.
What, to a university?
Yeah, in the UK.
Did you have to?
No.
Motherfucker.
So in Australia, you do a test in year 12, and then if your score is high enough, then you just get in.
Yeah, we basically, like, in the UK, when you apply to university, I don't know if this is still the same, but you had like your whatever, you get your test scores, and that's on like one form. But then you also have a cover letter where the aim of the cover letter is to suck your own dick as much as possible and hope that there is still enough dick to suck for.
I mean,
like,
I had to do that for my internship.
That's normally for the higher up universities. They want to start, because the competition is so broad, they want to start being stupidly nitpicky and be like, okay, no, you don't get to go to Harvard because you had a spelling error in your cover. Which is true, you shouldn't.
And like, I just totally I just lied. You
do. Everyone lies.
I just lied.
Everyone lies.
I was
everyone lies on their resumes. Everyone lies on their cover letters.
You said about like story selling people. So like, I remember inventing this fucking story on my cover letter that I read this book once in school, and I had like the exact book. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I read this book once and it inspired me to become an engineer and look into engineering.
Little did they know I can't read.
And as I was young, I took apart a calculator in order and that's planted the seed. And this is why like this is how I write my scripts in like anime. This is probably the first time
You're
I
always
fucking
learning
did this.
something.
Yeah, when I'm just like, and I opened up a calculator when I was a kid and I planted the seed of interest in engineering, and now
maybe that's why I got denied from McDonald's, because I definitely didn't do that. I just told the truth. I'm like, I'm a dumb 15-year-old kid that doesn't do shit. I didn't even apply for this job, but it'd be nice to get some extra cash.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's tough. You have to do a lot of sacrifices to make things work.
Yeah.
Occasionally, be it to your own ego or whatever it be. But it was fun. I mean, I starting out in voice acting was a great way, because I felt like it allowed me to come into YouTube with a ton of knowledge right out of the gate of how to make the videos sound good, which I feel like back then was a huge problem on YouTube. People just thought the Blue Yeti was the god. You stick this USB, which I don't know if people still use it now. I don't think they do anymore.
I mean, I started off with one.
But like, it's crazy. Like, audio is, I don't think people appreciate just how bad audio was back then.
Yeah.
And so I think it just gave me a huge leg up and allowed me to immediately show like, hey, look, I can put whatever fucking cartoon visuals on the screen or whatever, but like it sounds great. Like, it's a good sounding video. And it I think it was kind of like, I don't know, in a weird, I don't believe in destiny, but if there was any kind of it was probably at play there.
Yeah.
For kind of steering me towards this trajectory.
I never thought I'd hear you say that line.
Oh,
I don't believe in destiny.
but this was fate.
Well, you just it's kind of weird, because when you start
why
something.
Why don't you believe in destiny? Kai, can we get more beers, please?
Why? Why don't I believe in destiny?
Why don't you believe in destiny?
Are we going in that direction?
Why do you believe in destiny, Connor?
I think destiny means different things to different people. Yeah. Right? I think destiny to some people is take the hand off the wheel, let them do it.
Let the G-man upstairs figure it out.
Yeah, but I think that's a bad way of looking at it. I think a helpful way of looking at something like destiny is, I'm going to do everything in my power, and then I hope all of the pieces in the universe will align. And if you look at it from that sense, I do think that in terms of YouTube, it was kind of like the perfect storm for me to get into it, where it was like, okay, I didn't get into it, even though I did try to upload videos when I was younger. Yeah. You fucking hypercam your RuneScape vid and throw it up.
Yeah,
and you're like, why didn't it work?
Of course. Yeah.
But I think, I waited until I was like 19. So I got my cringe out of, most of my cringe out of it. And I'd learned all this, and I'd just happened to watch pretty much only YouTube for years.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just the perfect amalgamation of like things that aligned in my life to kind of give me a fighting chance to make it work. Even though I never intended for that to be the case. So it's like, even then it's like, I don't know, like I just don't, I think destiny is an unhelpful friend.
That sounds like destiny to me.
I don't know. No, because it's only in hindsight where I can look at it and go, yeah, I guess it could make sense. But also, I feel like then that destiny also takes away all of the the work you put into something.
Yeah.
That
You're-
is true.
you're-
Like I
you're
feel,
admitting that,
I
like-
feel, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but
I don't
like
know.
Bring him in, Kai.
in a lot of
Bring it in.
ways,
I need a beer for all. What I'm,
in a lot of ways, the word destiny is kind of thrown around
Yo.
in a kind of like weird past tense way. You know, like whenever like someone is in like a very fortunate position that they like dreamed of. Or they
Yeah,
have,
no one
like,
wants to
dream
think
job.
Destiny I got fucked over.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, you fulfilled everything you wanted to, and then you can, as you said, look back in hindsight and go, oh, maybe it was destiny, right? Like no one in
Yeah.
the present time is like trying to strive for something and going, I'm going to have this. It's my destiny. Like no one's going to say
But
that.
then I also think that like,
Like you're not a fucking anime character.
it's the same thing of being like,
maybe I am, Joey.
it's like when you
I know you were with
when
your
you're playing a
hair.
video
I'm him.
game. When you're playing a video game, right? And you spec into only like, I don't know, agility and strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you keep playing, and then 2 days later you come across this armor set that is can only be worn if you have really high speed and really high agility.
Yeah.
It's like claiming that because you cared to put that in, those points in that tree, it came into existence. Which is not true.
Yeah.
Because these stuff would happen.
Yeah.
And someone else would have filled the spot that you would have occupied.
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's a comforting thing to feel like the work you put in is deliberately being rewarded, but I don't think that's the case.
No.
I think if you are a human being and you are improving at stuff in general, opportunities just will come your way if you are putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And that can be perceived as destiny or whatever you want, but it's just how it is.
Do you believe in destiny, God?
I don't know. I will tell you a thought that fucked me up
All
recently.
right.
And-
Tell me what fucked you up, Carl.
And any physics majors can please enlighten me as we're about to go.
Why is it that every time we drink, Gant always brings up physics as a
I
topic?
don't know. So I have like.
And
I
this
mean,
is-
I'm not
Paul,
complaining. I
you know
love
it's going to
it.
be on suicide watch after these fucking fact checks he's about to have to do.
It just fucks me up sometimes when I think about these things.
Sure.
This is like the 3 a.m. thought that I have before I go to sleep, and I remember when
I
I'm
have those.
drinking. So you know that time travel like exists,
Oh my
right?
God.
Yeah, but only into the
Why are we
future.
bringing this
But
up?
only okay. Here's the
Fuck's
thing.
sake. All
Only
right.
into the future, right?
Yes.
Time travel, but it has been proven that you can time travel to the future.
Proven by who?
By scientists.
Well, it's like
You mean time dilation?
Yeah.
Theoretically,
Theoretically.
you can, but
Yeah.
like everything about our modern understanding of physics says that you
time
can,
dilation.
Paul
exists.
Mudan.
based
Yeah.
on time dilation, you can go into the future, but it is, as of our understanding, it is impossible to go back to the past.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So technically, time travel
You can
does
only-
exist.
You can only slow down time. You can't.
you
speed
can't.
up.
Yes.
You can't speed up time,
You can't
but time is relative.
Yes, yes.
Time is relative.
Yeah, because even then, speed up is incorrect. Like saying time,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
going in the future is incorrect. Your perception of time is passive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
You
Is
think
that
you're from your perspective, you're in the future. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you're in the future.
But I'm just wondering because maybe there's a gap in my knowledge.
Right,
but
okay. Yes,
if-
probably.
If there is
Just assume there are multiple gaps in all
there
of
is
our
definitely a
knowledges.
gap in my knowledge,
Okay,
but
okay.
if there is time dilation and there are some people who can, I guess, perceive themselves in their own frame of reference to
Yeah.
travel to the future, does that mean the future already exists?
See, you haven't seen the latest Kurzgesagt video.
Oh yeah.
Because he mentions exactly this.
Oh, does he actually?
Yeah, there's a video, the recent Kurzgesagt video that fucked me up was like it was this like thought experiment or idea that
Yeah.
the present, past, and future is all happening at the same time.
Yeah. So like, if time travel does exist in like the future, if we can invent time travel, does that mean that there is a version of a passage of time that already exists in the future and also in the past and is like existing in this moment?
Well, quantum physics would say yes.
Joey, don't bring out the quantum physics again. I
that's
swear to
true.
God,
The
I
moment,
swear to
Joey
God,
says
Joe.
quantum physics, you know he's going to spout some grade A bullshit.
True. Hey, I was right about Schrodinger, was I not?
That's the easiest concept.
I didn't see a Mudan fucking correction in that one.
Mudan, how many corrections have you done so far? I don't. The reason why I love thought experiments.
I love thought experiments
Yeah.
as well.
But I hate it when people try to be like, it's under my control. I'm like, no, you're just giving up. And
Yeah.
You're saying that
You're
you
trying
feel,
not to understand.
and it is hard not to feel like you have no power over what's happening because we are just one person. But
Yeah.
if we've seen anything in,
That's how nihilists are born.
if we've seen anything in the world, one person can certainly make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite drastically in our time. yeah, I mean, you can look at recent figures and you can figure that out.
Yeah.
People are pretty impactful if you want to be but it depends what you want. Like, what does making an impact feel? Is it just means that you get to celebrate Taco Tuesday without worrying how much you spend every Tuesday, or is it changing the world in a meaningful way? Like, what is that for you? Like, I think it's different for everyone.